Hey, good morning to you. Welcome in. This 93.1 and the mighty 1190. Happy Friday. Welcome to the 17th day of January. Dennis Rake joins us this morning, commissioner here, and as everybody within the sound of our voice know now, this water project has turned into what everybody's talking about, and we have the commissioner board, and we're trying to have them on, give them a chance to talk about what's going on. How you doing, Dennis?
I'm doing good, Shane, and thank you for the opportunity to come in and speak on Union County's #1 radio station.
And it finally got winter, at least for a day. It don't feel like spring out there today.
But the wheat crop's looking good. This warm weather's moved it along.
Mm-hmm.
And farmers are going to hopefully have a good year this year.
Yeah. All right, so everybody knows we don't have to go into too much, we don't have to give too much background on it. Everybody knows that we have a water shortage, no matter which way you voted for this as a commissioner or how you feel about it as a citizen. It's the truth. We don't have enough water, and there were multiple things that were studied and multiple things that were looked at on how we could bring more water, and this goes back, according to what Commissioner Akmus said when we talked to him, to about 2011. This has been, being looked at. And this plan that you guys support is the one that y'all feel like is the most, in the long run, economical and what will accomplish what we need done.
Right. Becoming a commissioner was a great honor, and I appreciate the confidence that people put into me to do this. Now, it required a tremendous amount of study, and as you can see, I've got just some of the documentation I've read over. But there's a lot of misinformation out there. Let me go back to the Lancaster Water Center, which we own half of.
The what now?
The Lancaster.
Lancaster, okay.
We were fortunate enough, we would be out of water a long time ago if we hadn't entered into the Lancaster situation. But I'll cut to the chase. That plant has a production of 40 million gallons a day. And we get 20 million, and Lancaster gets 20 million. And water leaving that plant that we own costs the county, before it's transported up here through the pipes and with electric pumps, it costs 69 cents a thousand.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to add about 40 to 50, 60 cents to it, depending on power, pumps, usage. Some months, it'll go up and down. Consumption has a lot to do with it. But for speaking's sake, we look at around $1.05 a thousand once we get it into our Union County system. Now, everybody say, well, y'all are making a killing. No. There's water breaks every day. Our crew's out there on the roads, And another thing that has become, I guess you'd say, a misunderstanding. Everybody thinks we put these water lines and sewer lines in these subdivisions when they're built. That's not the case. When they're approved, they have to put in a state-approved engineered system and bring the water line to our pipe and bring the sewer line to our sewer line. And then they give us the system. And we are real diligent on them to make sure it's put in right, because once we take it over, it's ours.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though the wholesale cost of water is cheap, and we still have very affordable water when it compares to the counties around. Now, I know the discussions about the increase, but I would like to point out a couple things. They're talking about, why are you not getting people water that want water, need water, have arsenic?
I know that's one of the big,
one
of the big things.
The story that hadn't been told that needs to really be emphasized is when I went on the board, me and Jerry and Stoney, the county had appropriated $600,000 a year to short line extensions, is what they call that program. And one of the things I ran on was getting water to people. Well, any board or committee you're on, the first thing you have to do is you have to gain a consensus among the deciding members of that board. And Union County is a very conservative county, and all of the commissioners are very conservative thinkers. So what we had to do was come up with a plan that made sense. There was 158 people that had signed up for water and had been waiting on it for years. And at $600,000 a year, it was going to take forever to get these folks water. Excuse me. With the help of all the board members, we voted unanimously to step the $600,000 up to $5 million a year for the next 3 years to get these people water. The ones that had went in and signed up. Now, does that mean that everybody that signed up for water will get water that signed up? Not necessarily. We got some people that live at the end of a 1.5 mile road with one house. And
Will those people that are benefited from this, let's say $15 million,
right.
will they see water from the Yadkin project?
It depends on which basin they're in, Archie. A lot of them are in the Yadkin Basin. Some of them are in the Catawba Basin, but most of them are over in the older sections where they see water go by their house,
Right.
and they want it. Now, let me say something else about those 158 houses. It also goes by 652 houses of people with wells that did not sign up for it. And it only stands to reason that some of these people, just don't know the process. And when they see the water line out there, they'll tap on too. They will not be required to, but they can if they want to. And anybody that's ever had a well and had to pull a well pump, it always happens, I tell people, at 10 o'clock on Sunday night when it's 28 degrees.
Right.
So
what about the people? One of the things that we keep hearing, and one of the things that's been talked about was there were options available to get water to people, and I think this applied more to people on this side of the county, from Monroe East and South and that way, that were much cheaper than what we're doing. I know alligator water was talked about. Frank spoke some to that about how much more expensive the water cost was there than other places.
But there were like a dozen options.
Well, there was a dozen options back in 2011. I don't know that Alligator per se was on it at that time. Probably Anson County was. But you got to realize, when I went on the board in 18, of course, you can't go back in time and change things. But Union County was awarded their interbasin transfer from Tillery to Union County in, I believe, 15 or 16. That's when it was finally granted. And we had asked for 23 million gallons, and we knew that would be long-term, 75 years what we need. There was not a lot of hope of getting it, and Union County came through and got it all. Okay, now as far as the other things, they looked at Anson County. They talked to Alligator, and they just weren't viable options. Now, I want to say something about Alligator and Anson County this time around. I am the one that went to them first and set up the meeting to talk. The first price that they told us from Alligator was $6.70 a thousand. When they said that, I knew the conversation was over. When we're making it for 69 cents in Lancaster. Now, I know it takes a tremendous investment. Anson would have been sort of a natural fit, except the fact that they don't sell enough water to fund their plant, and they really have a lot of operational problems that are ongoing.
Yeah.
They've got water lines all over the county, which is true, but that water sits in those lines, so guess what they have to do to it periodically? They have to open the fire hydrants and bleed it off.
Yeah.
So, like I said, in the meeting, when you do the math and look at everything, Yadkin was the only choice, I wanted to find something better. And then couple the fact that we had previous boards had entered into an agreement with Norwood and Stanley County to partner with us so that we could acquire right-of-way, and we allow them to use our pump intake place to get water for themselves. We would have had mitigated damages to pay them if we killed the deal.
Why wasn't this done through like a bond referendum?
Public Works is the enterprise fund. It makes money. Now I know a lot of people are saying, why wasn't this put to a bond?
Yeah.
It's run by the Board of Governors, who just happen to be, the commissioners in Union County. And I guess I don't know the legal aspects of it, but if we had put it to a vote among the people and they had seen all the facts that we saw, they would have came to the same conclusion that we did.
You can't say that. I mean, you assume that.
Right. Yeah. Well,
given all the facts,
Yeah.
you assume that.
right.
I just know people aren't delving into this thing
Yeah.
like they really need to do. All these meetings are online. They're boring and is all get out. I don't know how y'all stay awake. But I mean, there's good information in there. If you'll just sit there
And watch
in
it.
your pajamas and watch the meeting, you'll have a much greater understanding of water needs in the county and why we need to do this and that. But I'm not seeing people doing that.
Right.
We can't get past the 33%, which was, by your own admission, that's a heck of an increase.
Right.
And it is. But people can't get over that. And, of course, y'all are in the pockets of the developers. Can't
No.
get beyond that.
That is the most untrue statement of anything that's been said.
But you see, and you've seen social media. That's over
Well, I
and
did.
over again. Y'all are getting money from developers in order to put this project in.
Well, at 7:00 Monday night, at the advice of some friends, I went off of social media, and I've been off of it 3.5 days. I'm like a recovering addict, and social media is it's a good way to share pictures of your grandchildren, but it's not a place to hold a debate about the welfare
listen.
of Union County.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that I disagree with that. It is a way to. People misconstrue stuff, and I don't know. There's a half truth, and they blow it out of proportion.
What about one of the other things that was going around and being said was that, and they mentioned you specifically. I don't know why, but it could apply to Commissioner Akmus and others. I don't know, but I heard to you specifically that you were all on board and in agreement, and then changed your mind at the last minute. That was one of the first things we heard.
Dennis, you campaigned on getting everybody
was
water.
they were saying he was all on board and we were in agreement with one another, and then at the last minute, and they talked about the house and the whole deal that you just flip flopped at the last minute. Is there any truth to that?
No. Well, after I got all the facts in my hands and sat there and looked at all the data, we could go with alligator water if you want to have a 50% increase,
If we went with alligator water, my understanding is, and you correct me, we wouldn't own that water.
That's exactly right. And everybody's saying, well, you don't own the Yadkin water. We do. Well, let me say this. The government owns all water in this country.
Yeah.
And our FERC permit, Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, that's the one permit that we're waiting on. They're saying we don't have all the permits.
That's exactly how it's being said.
We're waiting on the last one, and the success rate on FERC permits, once you do all the environmental studies, get due power, answer all their questions, the rate of passing a FERC is about 100%. It is 100%.
Yeah. Well, we hope so, because how much have we spent on this project already?
$29 to $30 million.
And in the hopes
Plus-
of getting this last permit.
And let me ask you something, Archie. If you negotiated with Stanley County and Norwood to get them to partner with us so that we could acquire the right-of-ways in another county, and then we backed out the last deal, do you think anybody would ever seriously deal with Union County again?
Yeah. No, I see that.
What we did with them is the same thing that the city of Monroe did with Midland and Mooresville to get up to the pipeline in Statesville in Iredell County.
The majority of people don't want to see more growth, though. I mean, if you were to poll people, I mean, a few say they wouldn't mind growth if it's controlled, which is, the
Well, let me
devil's
put it
devil's
this
in the
way.
details. But other people are saying, Why do we? First off, why not let developers, because they're the ones that are going to benefit from the sewer plant, because when you have a sewer plant, you can have density. So we're going to be building, why not let them pay for it?
Okay. Well, part of the fake news that I finally, it was made clear to me, the $900 million, $300 million of that has already either been spent or set aside in a checking account.
Okay.
It's not $900 million. They showed us the whole master plan going back to like 2014, 2015, and up to about 2025, 2026. So $300 million of that through elevated water tanks, another one in Indian Trail. I think we're adding another one in Wingate or Marshville. Sewer line improvements, water pressure. We still have areas in Indian Trail that have low.
But why aren't these things more of a priority than a sewer plant, which is going to allow more density in areas where people don't want it?
Well, the sewer plant is down the road, Archie. And just as I was able to get the commissioners to go along with me to change the master plan from $600,000 a year to $5 million for people getting water, the sewer plant, and I want to address that. Crooked Creek is at 64% capacity right now.
Right.
I have the homes here that are going to go to it. When they were all built and start using water and sewer, that puts Crooked Creek at 81%.
And that's the max.
Federal guidelines say at 80% you do an environmental study.
Right.
At 90% you declare a building moratorium.
Yeah.
Unless you have stuff coming out of the ground with a finish date close to when you'll hit 100%. We have had problems in the past where we asked these sewer plants to treat more water than they could, and that's when you get in trouble with state regulatory committees. So the only thing that we have done with this vote was authorize the environmental study. This does not, the vote for the sewer plant will have to come back to the board. And that's what the fear that is being told. This will not be the first vote on this sewer plant. All we approved was the environmental study for a sewer plant.
I didn't realize another vote was necessary to build the sewer plant.
Yeah, many of them. First thing we'll have to do is vote to authorize an engineering firm to engineer it once we get the environmental permission to discharge.
Okay, but all that goes to growth. What about the people? 34% of the wells tested had above the safe level of arsenic.
Right.
Plus, as you know, manganese, E. coli. There's all 34% of the wells are bad, and some, like you said, don't have sufficient pressure and that kind of thing.
Right.
And I understand $5 million is a heck of a lot more than $600,000, so it's a step in the right direction.
All right. Well, let me address that.
Go ahead.
Do you know that the first 15.5% for the first 2 years? Now I know is another 15.5.
Yeah.
The first 15.5% only pays for all the short line extensions that we have authorized. In other words, where's that money going to come from if we don't get it from the system? 15.5%. Public Works has an annual income of about $50 million. 15.5% of $50 million is about $7.5 million. Well, the first 2 years, 7.5. There's your $15 million for the short line extension. Now, we're doing some figures, and we hope that those 158 houses that get to tap on, we're thinking it won't maybe cost $15 million. Now we're looking at $11 or $12 million, but that's wishful thinking. If this economy continues to expand, everything's getting higher when it goes to build something. Look at Sun Valley. I mean, they had to pare it back from originally what they wanted to do at the school because construction costs have went through the roof.
Yeah. There was a headline, to keep growing, we need water from the Yadkin. Why do we need to keep growing so fast?
Well,
Can we?
we've got to have water. Let's separate the water from the sewer plant. We have got to have water to get to these. I mean, if people want to pass a bond in Union County to run water countywide, every road like Anson County has, that needs to be by the people because it'll cost $500 million. A $500 million bond would be 40 to 50% increase on water rates. I mean, 15.5 sounds high, but to just fund water lines in the county
is
astronomical.
Is $500 million to run water lines to all the people that need it.
Yes,
In this
Countywide.
countywide,
Everywhere.
every
$500 million,
road,
which would be a 50% increase in water and sewer rates.
right. And Shane knows. You go up the Indian Trail, and when I say Shane, he lives in a part of the county where, below Lansford Road, there's wilderness.
Yeah.
But there's houses down there.
I know. I had a Frito-Lay route down there. I know.
And if I was
It's a
living
big
at
county.
if I was living at the end of Canal Road, and I heard the whole county was getting water, I'd want water too.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it costs
sure.
a lot to get.
Well,
down there.
I can tell you that, but the water I had was alligator water. That I was right on the state line, and they said, "Yeah, if you'll pipe it, we'll sell you water." And that's what I ended up doing. But
All right, back to my question. Why can't the developers foot the bill for this thing? They're the ones benefiting.
How are they benefiting? Because we have not approved the sewer plant.
Well, when all that is approved, and it will be
Okay.
at some point, some board is going to approve this project down the road. I'm convinced of it. Some developers will benefit from this by putting in, their apartment complexes and their subdivisions where they're hooked onto sewer, and the density can be such. So they're going to benefit. So tell us about impact fees.
Okay.
hear
Well, they're
there-
not impact fees; they're system development fees. And I know a lot of people have linked them together.
All right, call it what you want, but
But impact fees are illegal.
okay, well, we'll call it
System
something
development fees are legal.
else. Okay,
All right. I didn't write the rules.
I understand.
Just like bomb, B-O-M-B, you can't say that on a plane. And
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make jokes. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There's some things
Okay,
there. So I knew you were going to ask questions about this. So I had our planning department get me some information. There's 4,426 single family lots or townhomes that have been approved in this county by previous boards or by previous towns that have not been platted. What that means is, and the law is, when you go to the planning department and open up another phase of a subdivision, you have to pay your sewer and water taps right then. It was in the $3,100 to $3,400 range. Also in this vote, we raised that fee to $7,400. So the price of getting water and sewer to the developers went up $4,000.
okay.
One commissioner wanted to make it give protection to all the lots that was approved, and we said no. So that alone is going to pour $32,750,000 into the system. Which are they paying for it? Yeah. And a lot of people think we run water and sewer lines through these subdivisions. That's not the case.
no, you said that they have to build their system.
They
and
have
hook
to
on
build
the-
their system. They have to run the water line to us and the sewer line to us.
So y'all provide the main line, but they have to build everything to hook onto it.
True, but we don't even run the main line to them. They have to come to us. They have to bring their sewer to one of our lines and bring it and get it. And if the line is not capable of taking what they going to be dumping into it, then we have to look at that. Now, another thing that I learned when I became commissioner, I lived on Zeb Helms Road for 35 years, we were served by a 2-inch line that was put in by an individual that built some houses. Back then, 2-inch lines were allowed. We never had water pressure problems, but the state won't allow you to run a 2-inch line anymore in public water over 1,000 feet. They just won't allow it. They make you put a minimum of 6-inch lines and fire hydrants.
The $7,400, what'd you call it?
System development fee.
Yeah. What is it we keep hearing that these developers can sue to get that back? Is that expected of them to do?
That is a conversation that there's a commissioner talking out of closed session, and he should respect the ethics that we're educated with.
Okay, well, agreed, but it's out there. So can the developers sue to get that back?
No.
And have they successfully done so in other parts of the state?
I believe that's why the state of North Carolina changed it from impact to system development. System development has stood up in the court, so
It has.
It has.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also a general statute. So, you know, we live in a country now, Archie, where people try to rewrite the Constitution.
Oh, listen.
Change the electoral laws.
Crazy world, yeah.
All I can do is interpret the rules and then vote the best way, I think, for the citizens of Union County.
Well, like Shane said earlier, to some people, you flip-flopped on this issue. What opened your eyes to this?
Yeah, what was the moment? That's a good question. What was the moment when you said, I might have said this, but after looking at it?
Right. Well, first, I thought I was funding a $900 million project. Yeah. And like I said earlier, there was $300 million in the column, and it was right there in front of me. It said, already funded or appropriated.
Uh-huh.
So $300 million of the $900 million is in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all the work that's going on now, it's already funded. That money's set aside. And basically what they did with all that $300 million, Public Works put that money in there. Do you see what I'm saying? They paid for a third of this out of cash on hand. Not that they had $300 million, but, do you remember the Weddington water pressure debacle that we had a couple years ago? Mm-hmm. And we knew the way to fix it was put a water tank there, but it took them a year or so to find a location where nobody would fight the water tank. So, and what's the funny thing, they put it out beside Providence Fire Department, and there were no houses there. And now they're building $500,000 houses across the road from the water tank.
This is just me talking. I'm being not a commissioner, but I just can't help but think about it. If you said Anson County spent the money to put water lines through the whole county.
Right.
But I guarantee you the whole county didn't hook on to them.
No.
Because there's some people that's just not going to pay the money to hook on. There are some people that have a well and they've already put a purification system or what's one of these. So, like, running the lines is great. I actually think it's a wonderful idea to run them, but that doesn't mean people hook on to it.
Right. And in Anson County, they did it with a grant.
Yeah.
And they run it literally everywhere.
Yeah.
And because they have stagnant water, they have to bleed off constantly. So what they do is treat water, put it in the lines, and then have to go bleed it off, because that's how you get water quality problems.
Well,
so your moment of,
well, first realizing the $900 million was not $900 million, it was $300 million. And then also realizing this vote is only for the Yadkin water and the study on the Lower Crooked Creek environmental. It's not the award the contracts on Lower Crooked Creek plan. So, you can say, well, that's the master plan, and you voted for that. But in 12 months, we changed the master plan on short line extension from 600,000. Everybody wants water, but then when you figure out how to pay for it, it's like, I don't want to pay for them to get water.
Well, future boards can rescind that $5 million a year.
Well, we basically rescinded the same numbers that four of the members approved.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing, going on since 2011, Stoney and Jerry, they have voted. I mean, Jerry voted affirmatively for this. They've been in. Stoney was the chairman in 2016
Yeah.
when they moved ahead with all that study and master plan.
So, bottom line, if we don't do the Yadkin project, what's the
Like if folks say heck with it, cut bait, cut your losses. What
We
then?
would lose $30 million.
yeah?
I don't know what we would lose in mitigated damages backing out of the deal.
Right.
We would have to
Aside from that stuff, how are Union County citizens not as good without this project?
we'll run out of water in 3 years. When I say run out,
He means no more room for growth.
let me also say this: we won't run out, but we'll be buying water from Mecklenburg County at $3.50 a thousand, which is way above the rate that most people pay.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you take our base cost of Lancaster's 69 cents, I would say you'd be looking at a minimum of $2.50 increase if we start giving them Lancaster water. I mean, Charlotte water.
You think we need, if there were, other than what's permitted right now, let's say there was a moratorium on growth, we still need the Yadkin project?
We still need the is Union County going to live past the next 5 years,
Let's
10
hope.
years?
We can
Let's
only
hope
hope.
so.
Yeah.
This project will guarantee Union County its own water source, and it'll have control of it for the next 75 or 100 years. And then, if we need more, we can ask to increase our lake draw permit. Okay.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, we appreciate you taking time to come in and talk with us about all this today, and explain why you voted the way you did and why you feel the way you do. And I'm like Archie. I hope people will go watch the meeting.
Listen,
I hope people will vote.
don't make up your mind by something you read on social media.
Right.
Or for that matter, what you hear on the radio.
Yeah,
Vote.
that's exactly right. These meetings are online. You can find them. You can watch them. And there's workshops. You can hear what county staff told our commissioners, information they were given to make the decisions they made. You live in this county. It's worth a watch. You need to, but please, I'm seeing people post stuff on social. You're embarrassing yourselves on social media because you're not looking into it. Be an informed voter.
Well, from what I saw on social media, you might be running for commissioner in 2 years.
I haven't seen that. I'm not.
Oh, yes, you have.
No, I have not.
They said, Archie, you need to be commissioner, and you said you're very
That was somebody
kind.
that wanted a free pizza from Pepperell.
That's exactly right.
Dennis, thank you much.
We appreciate it.
Appreciate
Thank you. We'll take a break.